Okay, so in this video, I want to talk about something. I might title this like a year in the life of an agency owner or something like that. And I want to talk about people's patterns of work and how often they do certain tasks. People talk about daily routines, for example. But I've been doing a little bit of research and I've been, reading a few things that have been changing the way that I think about patterns of work inside of business. And I want to share it with you because I think it's pretty powerful and I think it's going to help a lot of people to make some good decisions in their business so they can be successful and reach their goals. But yeah, if you're not familiar with me, my name's Ben Lister. I help agency owners by documenting all of my learnings, including the ideas and things like that I have on this YouTube channel. And those help me to make multi-six figures per year. So the thing that I'm talking about today and the people that I'm talking about today, firstly, I want to talk about the story of Galileo, right? So Galileo, if you didn't know, everyone probably does, but just for the video, is a 15th, 16th century physicist, astronomer, mathematician, everything else, right? He discovered a lot of crazy stuff. He helped to completely change the world of physics. If it wasn't for him, we might not be knowing as much stuff as we know now about the world and the planets and everything else around us. And so one thing that he would do, and which I've discovered recently through my research and my reading, is that Galileo, if you asked him the question to Galileo, this guy who achieved a whole lot, was a pretty crazy dude, if you asked him, what's your daily routine look like? How does a typical day look like for you? He wouldn't know what that means, simply because their days were so fragmented and so broken up, and it wasn't as if he did the same thing every day. And so it makes me think, because obviously he's a very creative person, even though it's very sciencey and it's a lot of rational thinking, right? He's got to really think outside the box, and especially for someone of his time, he's got to think about some, crazy ideas that he's probably battling against the church and society and everything else. And he's still got to think outside the box and think of those creative ideas and think about the possibilities that are out there. And when you're inside of your business, when you're inside of your small online agency or whatever business you have, there's going to be certain tasks that are pretty creative, right? And you've got to approach them in a different way. And so this is something that I've been realizing more and more now as I'm creating more SOPs. I'm creating new onboarding material for my clients. I'm recording YouTube videos. I am expanding our product and the service that we have for our clients. Each day is completely different, and we're focusing on different things every single day. And so it requires a certain skill set, I think, to be able to do that. And it's something which, before, at the early days of my agency, I was basically just a virtual assistant. And I used to do some creative thinking when I decide, what to do and stuff. But I'd basically just do the same tasks every day, just do my emails, do my sales calls, a bit of service delivery, all that kind of stuff. And it would be the same thing again and again. But now as we're growing, we're managing a team and we're onboarding, full-time team members, and I've got to manage those people, and I've got to take into account, my relationship with them and all the things that I do with them. Then we're starting to talk about a lot of different stuff, right? And the days are never the same. There's always a different problem. There's always a different thing to do. And so it's getting to the point as well where, because I'm automating a lot of stuff out, it now becomes about blocks of work rather than days of work. And so if we are, for example, creating some new material for clients, right? This might take us 4 weeks to do. So now we have a 4-week period here where I'm really honed in on making sure that this material makes a lot of sense, right? And we are really telling the clients exactly what we think. And so they're getting the best training possible. They are going through and knowing, exactly what we think. And so I'm going to spend the next 4 weeks just going through and perfecting this, right? Making sure that there's no stone that hasn't been unturned. There's no thing that we've missed here. And the next 4 weeks after that, we might be focusing on, improving our sales skills. We might onboard a sales rep and improve the process that they have inside of their business, right? And so there's all these different things where we're focusing on. And as well, on top of that, as well as another period of work, you go through phases in business where you're building something, and we're very much in the building phase right now where we're building something out. And then eventually it will be done, that will be built. And then we can sort of reap the rewards for that a little bit. And we don't have to work on that all that much. We can probably just, chill and maintain the clients that we have, do a few sales calls, and we're not actually growing anything as such. We're just basically selling the thing that we've already built, right? The product and the service that we built. And then when things change around and things get outdated and we need to do something else, then we'll go again. We'll go through another period of work. So we might have 3 months here and then 3 months there, right? 3 months where we do the work and then 3 months where we're not really pushing your workers so much. We're just sort of maintaining. And this is just the nature of being in an agency. This is just the nature of being in a business. And a lot of research that I was doing into really, historical figures, people that achieved great things. I think there was a painter called Georgia O'Keefe, I think. I'm not too familiar with her work or anything, but she would talk about, like, she would do these, these crazy paintings that would get, like, super famous. They would sell for lots of money and stuff like that. And they're very, very sought after paintings now. She wouldn't spend every single day, like, at the drawing board or at the canvas, like, thinking about what she's going to paint or what she's going to draw. She would go through months and months where she would spend time, away from home, traveling, looking at different things, looking at inspiration. And so she might spend like 5, 6, 7 days just doing nothing, like nothing productive. And so if you looked at that one person's day and you said, okay, this person is really successful, let's look at what they did today, and they did literally nothing, they were just lying around, you might get the idea, okay, this person does nothing, like this is what they do to be successful. But obviously it's not the case for that. And so many people are obsessed with this idea of sort of daily routines and daily workflows, and I do this every single day, this is what I do when I wake up and stuff like that. But in reality, there's so many different tasks and there's so many different things to cover, and it's not all just a race to cram everything in, that you are going to have different days. And creating a daily routine now might only last for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then you might have to move on to something else to change what you're doing, right? And so, like, one thing that I've been doing recently, and one thing that I used to do, was I used to go to the gym at like 10 a.m., which is like pretty late for a lot of people. Like, a lot of people go like first thing in the morning or like at the end of the day, right? And so I would do like 2-3 hours of work, then I would go to the gym, and then I would come back and then I would basically do my afternoon from there, right? This is something that I've like recently changed around. But the reason I was able to do that and I wanted to do that was because the gym was like so much quieter then, and it was actually way quicker for me to go, and I could get a way better workout if I went at 10 a.m. than if I went at 7 a.m. Because obviously you got those people that are doing like the 9 to 5 before. But then I got to a certain point in my business where like I needed to actually get stuff done at 10 a.m. Like I needed to open my sales calendar a bit and get some more sales calls in there. And so I needed to do sales calls then and, get that done, so that couldn't happen. And so then I've got to switch things around. And this happens for like 4 or 5 weeks at a time, and I'm now back to going to like a certain routine. And it just basically means that, just because you have a routine now that you might be sticking with, and if you're at your very, very early stage of the agency, like if you're just getting started, you probably need a routine that you're going to stick for like 12 months, and you're just going to do the same thing again and again and again until you get to that 10K per month, because you're probably going to be wearing a lot of hats, and you're not going to be managing a team as such. You're not going to have those like super creative tasks to do, where it involves a little bit more thinking, and it's not just you can't just SOP a lot of those things out. But if you're not at that stage, then, there's a lot of things to take from people who are, big historical figures, people who have made crazy advancements in fields that are, super, super important for society and the world in general. And if you think about the way that we have this idea now of doing like a 9 to 5, like of working, Monday to Friday every single day, the way this come about was in the Industrial Revolution, which is basically here in the UK. And so what happened then was a lot of people would own factories, and they would have these factory workers in there, and they would devise like a timetable for them to work. And there was never really a plan before this. There was never really like a working day. People would work on farms, people would work in, creative fields. And so what would happen is they decided to come up with the 9 to 5, and this is the birth of the 9 to 5, right? And I think they might have even worked longer than that, to be honest with you. But it was like Monday to Friday. It was like the birth of the weekend. This is when like a lot of professional sports were coming around for the first time. So a lot of football teams here in the UK would play football on a Saturday, and everyone else, they would work Monday to Friday, and they would have Sunday off because it's their religious day here in the UK. And so that's kind of the schedule that people would build. And then now business owners, entrepreneurs, offices, like all these industries now have taken that same routine, the Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 from the Industrial Revolution. And the Industrial Revolution and the factory workers took that simply because they wanted to get as much out of people as possible. They knew that if you worked 1 hour, that's going to be, half as much as working 2 hours. But that's not the case inside of your business. And it's not the case inside of working in a knowledge role, right? In an office or something like that. And so obviously, if you're working in an office in a corporate environment, you can't really do much about it. They just want you to work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. But if you are a business owner, if you are someone who sets your own schedule, if you are trying to grow something, then you can set your own schedule. You can say, you know what, I'm not going to do this every single day. I'm going to do this for like 2-3 weeks. Then I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do this. This summer, I know that August is going to be like really bad for outreach. So maybe I will just take like 4 weeks away and not actually like take sales calls and then do something else, right? That's probably a bad idea, to be honest, not taking sales calls. But maybe I'll just focus on something else, because I know that the amount of success we're going to get from our outreach and from the systems that we have to go and generate appointments is going to be a little bit less than usual. And so I might focus on something else. Maybe I'll go and create something that's going to be a huge asset for my business, right? Maybe I'll reshape the product that we have, something like that. And so obviously you can plan these out further into the distance. You can plan this out for a whole year if you want to, and anticipate these things. But oftentimes you're going to find out that things just do pop up, and you need to change things around, and there's just nothing to be worried about for that. There's definitely no reason to be concerned with that, and it's just something that I think is pretty valuable, just knowing that that's the way it is. And and I think it's pretty valuable just knowing that that's kind of the way that it is, and humans have been working this way for an awful long time, and they'll probably keep working this way for a long time after this. And the way that we are rooted to, or sort of wired and programmed to think and to work, is a lot different than what a lot of people might be thinking out there in a 9-to-5 sense. And this doesn't mean for you to not do any work and think, what, I just heard about this thing where people don't actually work the same every single day. They work different in different week blocks and stuff. And so this week I'm not going to do any work, because that's just not exactly what I mean. And so yeah, obviously you still have to put the work in, but just knowing that you can go through these periods of work, of really intense periods while you're building something, and then you can kind of not take your foot off the gas, but almost just like go through a sort of maintenance period. That is pretty good to know, and I think a lot of people are going to get a bit of value from that. So yeah, if you're looking for more clients for your agency, first subscription, I don't care if you click it or not. It doesn't really affect me. I just make these videos regardless anyway. But yeah, if you like the video, like it, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And yeah, thanks for watching.